Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So tonight we're going to do something fun. I printed up some stuff, some information. We're going to go through step by step how you can do a manual J heat loss and gain analysis on a home, just doing it by paper, doing the math. And I think it's a good thing to do if you're just starting out in HVAC before you start using these computer programs. Let them do everything for you. You should know how to do it all on paper first, and it'll give you a better understanding of what's really going on in the building science, infiltration, everything that's going on with the heat loss and gain of a building. So we're going to go step by step how you do that, and then I'm probably going to do a full-length long form video and go step by step how you do a heat loss gain analysis on an entire building. Should be fun. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So we're going through the different parts of how you do a heat loss gain analysis on paper. Well, it's important that you know the basic parts of doing a heat loss gain analysis and what they mean. So we're going to start from the basics here, and let's just start teaching you. So one thing that's very important in doing a heat loss gain analysis, not only for doing a that calculation, but also for doing anything in HVAC in general, checking out systems, whatnot. But what is delta T? And there's the universal symbol for a delta T. It is the temperature difference between any 2 points or areas. Difference between temperature on a return and supply, difference between the inside of a structure and the outside of a structure, difference between the inside of your body and the outside of your body. So a delta T is basically any temperature difference between 2 points. So you need to know what that is. That's a very important part of starting out your heat loss gain analysis in HVAC. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So the next thing, the next important value that we need to know when we're doing a heat loss gain analysis is something we need to understand is R value. What does an R value really mean, and why is it important if you're conducting a heat loss gain analysis on a structure? Let's go over to the whiteboard. All right, so what is R value? And we're not going to get into this too much. You can look this up if you want to know exactly how that's done. But an R value is your thickness of the material divided by its thermal conductivity. So there's a whole formula to this. Each one of these has their own algebraic letter, I should say, and there is a formula to determine the R value. But what we're talking about here today is just things that you need to know. R value, and usually the product that you purchase or the product that you're looking at when you're measuring up a home is already going to tell you. So you don't really need to know how to figure it, but it's kind of cool if you want to get deeper into doing these calculations. So anyway, that's an important one, R value. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So the next thing you need to know if you're going to perform a heat loss gain analysis is area of the room. Now, when it comes to manual J heat loads, it goes by square footage, not cubic feet. And the reason being is, you're calculating the floor, the actual square footage of the floor. You're doing the walls, you're doing the ceiling. And, most of your heat loss or gain is going to be through those surfaces, not through the actual volume of the building, if that makes sense. And kind of think of it like a leaky box. So what's really going to happen is your system's just going to run a little bit longer because it's trying to fill that space. But if you have a good solid building envelope where the ceiling is tight, the walls are tight, the floor is tight, it doesn't matter if it's a 20-foot tall structure or if it's a 8-foot tall structure. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you're accounting for that wall surface area, ceiling surface area, and floor surface area, and windows and doors, of course. Does that make sense? Hey guys, Seton HVAC. So we're going to first start out with doing the BTU loss in walls on a structure, walls in your home. And this is going to show you why it's very important that you gather the proper data before you go do these calculations, because you might install the wrong size of equipment, and that's not good for anybody. So let's go over to the whiteboard. All right, so here's an example of heat loss through walls, okay? We're going to assume that we're going for, let's say we want to keep it 70 inside the house, and in the wintertime the average outdoor temperature is 30. So that delta T would be 40 degrees, right? So walls equals your area times that 40 degrees. We still got to figure this out. And then what your R value is. So let's say that you have 850 square feet of wall. You times that by 40, and then you divide that by 13. So you're going to have this number first. So 850 times 40 divided by 13 equals 2,615 BTUs per hour. So that's how we figure out on paper how much heat loss we're getting through our walls. Oh, we're going to do heat gain too, and I do the full length video. But we're just going step by step on these shorts tonight. I'm going to put this all together though in one long video someday. All right, guys, seat and HVAC here. So our next thing we got to figure out what our heat loss is our ceiling. Ceiling's done exactly like the walls. Usually it's insulated better because, God, I don't really know why it's insulated better. Probably because there's more space above it. It gets cold. I don't know. It's colder in an attic. I don't know. But we insulate our ceilings better in most structures than we do our walls. Let me show you how that's converted here. So again, it's the same formula as the walls. So ceiling equals the area of your ceiling times your delta T, your temperature drop, divided by the R value. So if we're going to convert that to, this is just an example. So say we got 1,000 square foot of ceiling. We've got a 40-degree temperature drop between the inside of your ceiling and the attic, divided by a ceiling that's insulated to R30. So you're going to times that together. That would be 40,000 divided by 30 would give you 1,333 BTUs per hour. So you're going to add that to the walls that we've already done. Next is going to be the floor. Hey guys, seat and HVAC here. So the next thing that we got to figure out is what our heat loss is on the floors in our structure. And again, floors are calculated the same way that walls and ceilings are calculated. Same formula, but you know, for some reason we don't insulate our floors as well as we insulate our ceilings. And usually the walls are the least, which I don't understand. I think we should just insulate everything as good as we can. I understand money is a factor when it comes to that, but let me show you the floors. All right, BTU loss for your floor. Same equation, area times your delta T divided by your R value. And like I said, floors are usually not insulated as well as your ceiling. So let's say our floor is 1,000 square feet, which matches the ceiling from the earlier short. We got a 40-degree temperature difference between above the floor and our crawl space. And then 19 is our R value. That's our insulation, which I would do more on a floor personally. I think you should spray foam. So it makes a huge difference on your BTU loss. So your floors are going to be 2,105 BTUs per hour. Windows are next, and windows are done a little bit differently. Hey guys, seat and HVAC here. So we're going to do U value. We're going to do windows. So what is a U value? Now, I could explain it to you. It's a complex equation. It's best if you just go on Google and search what does U value mean. But every type of window has a different U value, and that's what's going to factor in to what your heat loss through a window is. Let's get to it. All right, how do we figure out how to figure the BTU loss of windows? So you got windows equals your U value, which your window manufacturer will have for you, or it'll be on the prints if you're looking at a new construction job, times the area. What is your square foot area of the windows, times your delta T, the temperature difference between indoor and outdoor. So that converts to windows. So we have double pane windows, which have a 0.35 U value, times 150 square foot of windows. So basically what's equivalent to 15 times 10 feet of windows, times a 40-degree temperature difference between inside and out, equals 2,100 BTUs per hour. You can do this all on paper. It's really easy to do. You just need to know your U values of your windows and your R values of your walls, ceilings, and floors. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about air infiltration. We're not going to get way too into it because there's other things you got to do an actual test needs to be done before you actually know the value to do the air infiltration. We'll get to it though. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So last night I left you off with how to calculate heat loss for windows when doing a manual J heat loss analysis on paper with your hands, not with a computer program. How to do it all on paper. Keep in mind, if you want to see these shorts, just go on my channel, search shorts, go to the latest, and you can just go back and watch. I think I did 7 or 8 of them last night. But today what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to calculate infiltration and how that pertains to heat loss in a building. So let's do it. All right, guys, how you calculate infiltration into a heat loss calculation for a structure. So infiltration equals air changes per hour times your house volume, not square footage, times your delta T, times 0.018. And that calculation there is done by specific heat of the air times density of the air. If you want to know more about how you come up to that 0.018, look it up, because it's a weird calculation. So on this building that we're doing, infiltration would equal 0.5 air changes per hour. That's going to be done with a blower door test, so you got to figure that out. So that should be done first before you start your manual J heat loss. Our house is 1,000 square feet times 8-foot ceilings, so 8,000 cubic feet times a 40-degree delta T, 70 degrees indoor, 30 degrees outdoor. These are all just numbers I pulled out of the dark, times your infiltration factor, 0.018. If you want to know how I came up with this number, you got to look that up. And that gives you your 2,880 BTUs per hour for infiltration. That's going to add to your total heat loss. Next step, we're going to add everything together. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So now we're going to show you how we come up with our total heating load for our building, our total heat loss. We went through windows, ceilings, floors, walls, infiltration. How do we add these all together to come up with the size we need? What size of heating equipment do we need for the structure? Let's go over to the whiteboard and I'll show you how. So obviously this is a small structure, guys. It's 1,000 square feet, and it looks like it's probably insulated pretty well. But our total heating load is walls, 2,615. These are all BTUs per hour. Ceiling is 1,333. Our floor is 2,105. Windows are 2,100, and infiltration is 2,880. Now, it's important to note, our windows are much smaller of a square footage than our floor, ceilings, or walls, but it's almost as big as them. And then our infiltration is larger than any of these other values. So it's very important to pick good windows and doors. And I'm going to tell you something about doors here in a second. And make sure your house is as tight as possible. So the total BTUs on this 1,000 square foot by 8-foot tall structure is 10,950 BTUs per hour. I'd probably do a ductless. If we're going to do a ductless, we're going to do a 12,000 BTU, right? Perfect. And you could probably use a standard one. You wouldn't even have to use like a hyperheat if our outdoor design is 30, although I still would. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So now that we finished up our series on how to do a heat loss on paper, not with a computer program, we're going to start with how do you, hey, look here, on your slide rule, on your ductulator here, how do we determine our friction rate? Let me show you the first step. Alright guys, so the old school guys would tell you 0.1 friction rate. They think that's actually your static pressure. They don't know what they're looking at. They just do a 0.1 on your ductulator and call it. So call it good. We're not going to do that because you'll have the wrong size duct. So how is friction rate determined? Step 1, find your available static pressure. PD, pressure drop. So that's in parentheses. That's what it uses in the book for available static pressure, or you can call it ASP. ASP or PD, pressure drop, is your available fan static, which can be found in the fan curve charts for any documentation for any piece of equipment, minus your non-duct losses. So it's anything that's not your duct work. So for example, filters, coils, dampers, registers, etc. Anything that is not duct work that is tied to your duct system is a non-duct loss. Next step, here in the next short, I'm going to show you what the an example of this. All right, guys, Seton HVAC here. So in step 1, I told you that the first step in trying to figure out what our friction rate is going to be on our ductulator is finding out what our available static pressure is. So how do we do that? Well, let me show you an example. We got to find this number out first, otherwise that ductulator is worthless to you. So let's head over to the whiteboard. Okay, so how do we figure out our available static pressure? So what we need to know is what static pressure our fan in our air handling equipment is rated for. So here's an example. Let's say our available fan static in our air handler is 0.8 inches of water column, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take all the devices that aren't duct, okay? So we have our filter, which is 0.15 inches of water column. We have our dampers. Let's say our dampers are 0.1. We got our coil is 0.20 inches of water column, and our grills 0.15. We're going to add all those together, and that equals 0.6. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this number and we're going to subtract that number, and that leaves us with 0.20 available static pressure. That's the budget we have for our duct system. So we have to size it so it equals 0.20 inches of water column. That's step 2. I got lots more steps coming here for you. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So we've done a couple different things for you to figure out what you should put this little cutie on your ductulator, what friction rate you should use. We figured out pressure drop, and we figured out available static pressure for your equipment. Okay, now we need to figure out how long our ductwork is, and we're going to go over to the whiteboard and we're going to come right back and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. Okay guys, ductwork total equivalent length, and it's not just the length of the duct, it's total equivalent length, TEL. Straight duct is pretty obvious. 1 foot is going to equal 1 foot. But your takeoffs, your fittings, your elbows, your boots, etc., anything that's not straight duct has different lengths. And in the book, in the Manual D duct design, they all have a total equivalent length. So you're going to add everything together and come up with what that length is. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on that right now. So I've been harping on these architects and these engineers and anybody that has anything to do with designing a home. For years I've been trying to tell them, let's put the equipment in the center of the home. I don't care if you got to build a soundproof room around it. You know, you don't want the equipment heard, seen, whatever it may be, but let's get it in the center of the structure, because that's going to keep our ductwork as short as possible from all directions. And you know, try to minimize how many 90s you have, 45s, you know, eliminate bad takeoffs off your equipment. If you have the Manual D book, you'll know what I'm talking about. But we want to keep that duct as short as possible. In the next short, I'm going to show you why. Hey guys, Seton HVAC, so we made it to the final part on determining your friction rate on your ductulator. And I'm going to show you right now why it's very important, why we need to keep our duct length short. It'll save you on material because you're going to have smaller duct, and it's going to work better. So let's go over to the board and I'm going to show you a couple instances why you want to keep that total equivalent length of your duct short. Okay guys, so here's your formula for friction rate. Friction rate on your ductulator. It's your available static pressure, so all your devices minus your fan static, times 100 divided by your duct. So let's say we screwed up and our furthest duct is 290 feet of equivalent length. That's not very good. Let me show you why. So our available static is 0.20 times 100 divided by 290 feet. That gives us a friction rate of 0.0689, or just use 0.069 or 0.7. That's going to give you large duct. So the smaller this number is, the larger your duct is going to be. So let's do another instance here where, let's say we did a real good job on our duct and it's not as long. Okay, so our total equivalent length of our duct is 105 feet. So we put that in our equation. We can use 0.19 on our ductulator. Let me tell you why that's important as opposed to 0.69, the other one? Sorry, 0.069. All right, so if the house needs 1200 CFM at 0.069 friction rate, you're going to need 16-inch round pipe or whatever the rectangular equivalent is, and I'm going to show you something about that probably tomorrow. 1200 CFM at 0.19 friction rate, because we had our total equivalent length of our duct shorter, is equivalent to 13-inch round. Obviously, you're going to use 14, but you're going to use a lot less duct throughout your whole duct system if you keep this friction rate number down. And the best way to do that is to have more available static pressure and to keep your duct lengths as short as possible. Put the equipment in the middle of the house. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So I hope you enjoyed the last couple nights worth of shorts. I think it was probably like 20 of them. I went through how to do a heat loss on paper, not using one of them fancy dancy programs. And they also went through with you on how to determine the friction rate on your ductulator. Knowing how to do that, you don't just pick a number, there's some science behind it. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have some fun with return air sizing and return grill sizing, and I'm going to show you some things that you wouldn't normally know. Oh, I'm also going to start out by showing you how you convert rectangular duct to round. It's not just a matter of doing the square inches and converting it. There is a formula, because the friction rate between rectangular and round is different. There is more friction rate when you're using rectangular duct. So got some fun stuff for you tonight. Let's get on with it. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So we're going to do part one right now, and it's not as simple as you think on how to convert rectangular duct to round duct. And there's all kinds of weird formulas. There's some lab testing stuff. It's very strange actually, but it's very intriguing because I love doing this stuff. So let's go over to the whiteboard. Let me show you what this is all about. All right, guys, we're over at the whiteboard. Sorry about the light reflection. I can't do much about it. I'll try to fix it at some point. So, converting rectangular duct to round duct. So we want round duct to equal 1.30 times the width of your rectangular duct times the length of your rectangular duct times 0.625 divided by the width of your rectangular duct plus the length of your rectangular duct times 0.25. Now, what are these numbers? Why do they have those? So all I could find with some research is this 1.30 was an empirical constant from lab testing. Some lab testing showed them that you needed this factor to convert these rectangular to round. So what is this 0.625 and this 0.25? These numbers are due to airflow friction differences between rectangular and round duct, perimeter effects, and turbulence difference between shapes. All right, next short, we're going to put some numbers in here and show you how you really convert it. You don't just go by square inches. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So now we're going to have some real fun. So I showed you the formula in my last short, how to convert rectangular duct, or better yet, how to convert round duct to rectangular duct, and the formula is involved. So let's go over to the whiteboard. Let me show you what we got here. It's some complicated math, but it's well, for some people it is. Let's do it. Okay guys, we're going to assume we have 14 by 12 rectangular duct. How do we convert that to round duct? So we use the formula that I showed you in the last short. So we do 1.30 times the two dimensions of the duct, 14 times 12 times 0.625, and then it's divided by 14 plus 12 times 0.25. Go down here after we put the numbers in there. So 1.30 times 105 over 65. And that converts to 130 times 16.15. If you times the 130 times 16.15, that gives you 20.995. They don't make 21-inch duct, so it would be a 22-inch round duct. So 14 by 12 converts to 22-inch duct. I'm going to put this all together in videos at some point, but right now I'm just doing shorts for you. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So we finished up our series on converting round duct to rectangular duct. Now we're going to talk about how you size your return duct, rules of thumb, And then also we're going to talk about how you size your return grills. The best practice is make sure they're not noisy, make sure they flow the air properly. So let me show you a couple things here first. All right, guys, so on return duct, here are your rules of thumb. That's all we're going to do for now. If you watch some of my duct sizing videos, I'll show you how to really size it, but these are the rule of thumbs for return duct. So we shoot for 400 CFM per cooling in a temperate climate, but if you live in a really dry climate, you're probably going to shoot for 350 CFM per ton of cooling. In a humid climate, you would shoot for 450 CFM per ton. If you don't have cooling, it's probably fine just to do 400 CFM. Your target velocity, you can measure this with a meter. You want to have 500 to 700 feet per minute in your return duct for sound. You don't, because otherwise your grill will whistle. And then rules of thumb for sizing on a 2-ton system, you're going to have a 14-inch duct, 3-ton system, 16-inch duct, and a 4-ton system, 18-inch duct. These are just rules of thumb. Proper manual D duct design may come out with these, but it might change. We're going to move on further here in a second. All right, guys, seat and HVAC here. So you don't have a ductulator handy with you, don't have any way to convert it, can't cheat and use your phone. How are you going to figure this out on paper? So we need to convert this rectangular duct to round. 14 by 20 rectangular duct. So what you do is you times those two dimensions, and it gives you 280 square inches. How do we convert that to round? Here's our formula. Pi, which is 22 over 7, times whatever the radius of the round duct needs to be to equal 280. So what I usually do is I start playing around with numbers. So let's say 16-inch round. Let's see if that'll equal 14 by 20. So we go 22 over 7 times its radius, which is only half of its diameter, is 8, squared equals what? 22 over 7 times 64 over 1, because you're timesing 8 times 8. That gives you 1408 over 7, and that converts to 201.111111. So 16-inch round is not big enough. So let's go to the next size. Let's go to 18-inch. Let's see what that does for us. All right, area of 14 by 20 duct converted to round. We went ahead and went with 18-inch. So we put 9 in there, because that's the diameter, or the radius, 1/2 of our diameter of 18. So 22 over 7, 81 over 1, 1782 over 7, 254. Still not big enough. It's probably going to be 20-inch. Let's see what 20-inch comes out to. That would be our choice if we had to convert that. All right, converting our 14 by 20 duct into round, 280 square inches. We went ahead and went with 20-inch, so we're pi times our 10 times 10, give you 22 over 7, times 100 over 1, be 2200 over 7, be 314. It's larger than that. They don't make 19-inch duct, so we're stuck with 20-inch. That's how we convert that 14 by 20 rectangular duct. Easy peasy. That's how you do it in the field. All right, guys, let's have some fun with some math here real quick. Let's say you got a transition, a sheet metal fitting that's going from 16 by 20 to 20 by 20, and it's flat on your right-hand side, and you got to slant this side. Now, the way I would normally do it is I would just make my 3 fittings that are straight, and then this number is going to work itself out. But let's say you want to know what this number is before you get started. How do you do that? Well, the entire height of our fitting is 19 1/4. And we know that that's got to go 7.5-inch offset, right? Okay. So how do we figure that out? How do we know what this distance is here? So let's go over to here. We use what's called the Pythagorean theorem, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So you take those two dimensions, your 19 1/4, your 7.5, and you have 19 1/4 squared plus 7.5 squared equals c squared. That would convert to 19.25 times 19.25 equals 370.56. 7.5 plus 7.5 times 7.5 equals 56.25. Add those two together, you get 426.81. You got to find the square root of that, of 426.81. because what you're looking for is you're looking for C times by itself. So that's what's going to equal that number, and that gives you 20.66. Closest to that would be 20 and 11/16. You could get away with probably 20 and 5/8 as well. Quick, easy way to find out that dimension. So that's how much that fitting is going to grow because it's slanted. Did I lose you? Easy thing to do. I just did that in about 3 minutes. Hey guys, Seton HVAC here. So do you want BS training or do you want real training? So I basically compared 3 different brands of equipment, and the Run True came out to be the cheapest. Trying to give my customer the best deal. It's an old manufactured home. I'm not going to give her something she doesn't need. I'm going to give her the cheapest piece of equipment. I added it all up. I got all my parts here. Added everything together. It was that much. Okay? Now when I'm busy, I'll divide by a 0.5 divisor. That basically would double that. So the job would have been 12,000 and some change, 12,300 something. When I'm slow, I do 0.6. It'd have been less than this number. I did 0.55. This is my sale price, $11,289.56 for a 2-ton heat pump replacement in a manufactured home. Simple line set. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And the job's already sold. She didn't even blink. So that's how you bid stuff. That's how you are successful. Do things properly.